So I want to go back way, way, way before Housewives.
Okay.
Before all of this
way
came
back.
up. Like, I want to go back to your childhood.
Oh, awesome.
Like way back.
Just crack it wide
She's like,
open.
great.
Yeah. Did you grow up Mormon? Did you grow up in Utah? Or is this something that happened after you got married?
No, I didn't grow up in Utah, but I grew up very, very, I don't want to say fundamentalist, but just very Mormon, uber Mormon in Colorado.
Like, when you say very Mormon, what does that mean? Because
Very Mormon.
Does it mean you can't drink? You can't have coffee? What does that mean?
Yeah. So very Mormon means my mom and dad were married in the temple. They wore sacred religious garments that, that represented their fidelity to the faith. They did not drink coffee, tea. It was not in our home. They did not drink alcohol. We went to church every Sunday for 3 hours, sometimes a meeting. And then we had like a weekly youth meeting. We stayed home on Monday nights as a family, didn't have any activities. Monday nights were like sacred family home evenings, which is like kind of a Mormon thing. And then, we were all baptized. We all attended church.
How many kids?
6 kids.
Wow.
And I'm the middle daughter of 3 girls and 3 boys. So I'm like a middle is what I like to say.
So when you were young, did you ever have a moment where you were like, there's something weird with this? Or were you always like loving it?
Always loving it.
Committed. Like, and are you committed today?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
So that's kind of
I'm a non-practicing Mormon. That's my new label.
And what does that mean?
That means it's kind of a new term because Mormonism is based on behavior. And so in order to be Mormon, you have to practice it. But for me, my whole identity was so steeped in the faith and in the culture of it that just because I'm not practicing doesn't really remove it from me.
100%. And by the
how
way,
could it? Because it's basically your whole
who's like
life.
defining
like,
all this? Why can't you define
really,
yourself?
There's not really a category for non-practicing Mormons. It would be like, this is an extreme, but sometimes extremes, polarizing examples can help it. Like, DM me your complaints, active Mormons. So Mormons hear me talk and they're just like, she's crazy, but I'm trying to break it down simply. It would be like saying I'm a non-practicing Quaker or Mennonite or Amish person. So like I have electricity and I don't wear the clothes and I don't, you know what I mean? I drive a car and I don't do those things, but I'm Amish.
Okay, but would you live in the Amish town or are you not in the Amish town?
I mean, isn't it kind of hard to live in the Amish town?
Yeah, I don't think that would work.
When, you know what I mean? Where you just got like your music blaring and your ring light, you know what I mean? And everybody else is just like, like get her out.
Like, so here's my question. When you're young and you don't have tea and coffee and alcohol in your home, do you go seek that out when you're young or were you not into that until a certain age?
I wasn't into that until a certain age. I mean, I had curiosities for sure, but like we felt superior. Like we felt like we had the truth. We were what every family wanted to be. We were the only true church on the face of the earth, that we were blessed and like a chosen people. And you're really steeped in the superiority of it. And so you feel, a strong allegiance to toe the line and represent the faith, but also an even stronger allegiance to respect and honor your parents and their wishes, and their expectations of you.
So when did that like facade crack for you? Like when did you start to see things that you weren't liking?
I'm going to say, like, totally honestly, I never really considered if I liked it or not because I was just like a blind fidel, you know what I mean? Like just total like loyalty. I could do the mental gymnastics to work around anything.
Well, it makes sense because that's all you know. If you're born into it, that's all you know. That's the norm, right?
Yeah.
Like, so from us, we're like, this is crazy. I mean, I would last 1 second, but they would kick me right the fuck out. I would, no chance. But if you're born into it and it's all you know, then it's normal, right? Like, because that's all you know.
Yeah, and it's good.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to keep that in mind. Like it works. We have this beautiful family and love at home. And my dad is, engaged and a provider and a patriarch. And my mom is a nurturer and a caretaker and a homemaker. And, they have healthy children and money. And
So
You know?
the principles
But
do
it sounds
work.
like there's a lot of obviously good things that come with it, right? Family,
I think mostly
bond.
good.
Yeah.
That's interesting. You are right though. There is a lot of good things that come with it.
I think
And-
it probably just starts to fall off the rails once you get, if you get into other communities that aren't practicing and you start to be like, oh, why these people are doing this and they seem to be okay. And then you start tampering and then it's like, you're almost excommunicated in a way, right?
Yeah. I mean, the process for me was much more different. The reason I paused for so long saying like, when did I start to like fracture from it is because it wasn't until I got divorced.
So your whole marriage, you were fully practicing Mormon.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to talk about that because it sounds like on the show from what you've told us that you were doing all the things you thought you were supposed to be doing. And then like maybe you kind of felt like when you got out of the marriage, your eyes became more open. It sounds like.
Yes, that's actually a scripture. But yes, my eyes became open and I could see. I don't know.
So
I
did you
can't
meet your
quote it 'cause I'll be
husband in
wrong.
the Mormon church?
Yeah, fully. And what I was going to point out, just to bring it back to what Michael was saying about like different communities, you start to see different ways of life. We always saw different ways of life because we were, living amongst normal people. And I was in Colorado even. So it was even less, homogeneously Mormon.
Yeah.
And I think you don't even start to consider other ways of life until the perfect image breaks, So when it's working, you don't question it.
Huh.
When you're successful, your children are healthy, happy, and safe. There's no aberration in the plan. And you've seen generation after generation kind of churn out, young future presidents of America. You don't question it because it works. And then you get divorced. You have a gay child. You have a transgender child. Your husband cheats on you. You lose a spouse. Like there's so many ways that the plan can get fractured. And then it's almost unresolvable within the confines of the faith.
That makes total sense. I've never heard anyone explain it that way. It sounds like there's pros and there's cons, there's pros and cons of everything though.
Yeah, but you have to consider what the cons are. And I think that for a long time, we always tried to kind of look the other way with a lot of the like really polarizing issues like abortion, gay rights, gay marriage. Like, we're a very like evangelical Christian church. And so they have a hard line on all of those principles, much harder line than other faiths because we have like we have to like answer questions and like meet certain standards in order to.
There's no gray area.
There's no gray area.
Yeah, it's black or white.
You have to answer a set of questions from two different men, local leaders in your community every 2 years in order to attend the temple, which is where active Mormons truly worship.
Do you think, looking back, that there was a lot of people in the church that were doing things that they weren't quote unquote supposed to be doing? Like, for instance, maybe there's someone that was a higher up in the church that was gay, or maybe there's someone that's drinking coffee and alcohol at night and taking pills. Like, do you look back and see that? Or
yeah, because I became one of them.
What do you mean?
I mean, I became someone that was like actively Mormon, but then was like going out and partying with my friends once I got separated and divorced.
So how was that like?
It's messed up.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of forced me to like take a hard line because I was doing that game of there's more good than bad. There's so many wonderful things, but my kids were getting older. I was starting to have to like flub around and like kind of PR everything with the church. Like, what do you mean Fred and Shane can't get married, because they know they're Mormon, they know they're returned missionaries, but they also know they're gay. You know what I mean? Like kind of that kind of concept. And like, you have to be like, Heavenly Father will work it out. He loves all his, you know what I mean? But we know fundamentally they can't go to the temple and they can't be Mormon.
That's the wild thing to me. That's what I don't understand. If you're born into a Mormon family and you're gay, you can't go work it out with the church because you're gay. It's almost like a catch-22.
It's a catch-22.
So what do?
Recently, we've tried to kind of evolve our social guidelines, our principles with the church. And like we say, we love you, we accept you. We don't believe that God made you this way, but we understand that you're dealing with it on earth, like
Got it. So
a challenge, a
that
struggle.
makes sense.
But if you can be gay and be loved and embraced, and you can be open about being gay, but you cannot have gay sex and you cannot be in a committed relationship with a same-sex partner.
Wow.
So it's just like, to say it bluntly, it's just not a realistic expectation in a modern world, because if you're gay and you're with a partner, you're going to have sex, you're going to want to get married.
Yeah.
And that's normal, and it shouldn't be. But
and why would you ask a lay person, not a priest, not a clergyman, not someone that's like, to assume a life of celibacy and, self-denial for an institution, or for like, that's like the biggest part of life, like who you fall in love with and how you, I think, I'm going to cry because I'm like a huge romantic, but you know what I mean? Like
it's crazy.
You wouldn't want to ever say to someone like, this is what God wanted you to live like within these confines, with kind of obviously like shame and doubt. And because if there's no way to be who you are and be Mormon, it's a catch-22.
That's what has always intrigued me about it, because I grew up in a family where I could have said I have a dick coming out of my ear and I want to do this, and like it's the most random job on the planet, and my parents would have been like, just be the best version of yourself in that area, like whatever that is.
Do you think your dad would have been cool? He's saying your dick come out of your ear?
I don't know. I'm just trying to.
I want to party with your parents.
My parents are fun. My parents are fun. My dad's fun. You'd like my dad.
Brad is fun. That's for sure.
But what I mean is, it's like an extreme example, like you were saying earlier. Like I'm giving an extreme example. So when I look at Mormon culture, it's kind of like suppressing who you are as a person. It's like, don't do or be anything that steps outside of the square.
100%.